Got it working. Ah, okay. So we're all good. Back to normal again. I've been testing out a few different sort of webcam apps where I can just hook up my phone or my iPad, and it's just been a nightmare for the last couple of weeks. I think perhaps there might be software update issues involved. Okay, so um, the way we're going to kind of extend on the lecture from last class is I'm going to dive into a few sort of, I guess, resources that are available for you to start thinking about putting together your own little sort of virtual production sort of stage, right? And in that regard, I'm going to talk a little bit about Megascans, and I'm going to rehash the level sequencer. There are a few niggly things with the level sequencer I ran into several years ago. I don't know what has changed, but we'll dive in. Like I was saying earlier, it'll probably be a little bit of a hunt and peck stutter start sort of lecture because I'm going on knowledge based on the level sequencer build from like Unreal 4.22 or something like that. Right? So we'll just sort of struggle along and see what's happening. So, first order of business. Have you guys used the level sequencer yet? I know I gave some of you an introduction to the level sequencer already. I will take a silence to mean no. So, that's cool. This will be a good rehash, as well as there's going to be some rudimentary stuff. So, I know this will be helpful to a few of you guys out there who are just struggling to wrap your head around Unreal. Yeah.
Would it be possible at some point to get kind of like short tutorial on setting up like the sequencer cameras in Unreal?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to try to cover today.
Okay, right.
Yeah. And I think there are there was a level of confusion for me when I first started setting up the level sequencer, and part of it was the fact that I didn't realize till halfway through setting up a sequence for sort of an animated TV show that the level sequencer cine camera actor has two states, a possessable state and a spawnable state, as well as any asset you bring into the sequencer. So that added to the confusion. I still don't have it entirely straight in my head, and I probably won't until I crank through, a project. Right? It's only when you get the repetition of building a project that things start to solidify in your head. But we'll go through it anyway. The other thing I'm going to introduce you guys to is the Megascans library. I don't know if you guys have been using it, but I've been called upon to use it more heavily than normal, right? Have you guys been using Megascans?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
It's so big.
Yeah, the downloads are big. They're huge. And it's one of the reasons why I've sort of avoided it, right? But Megascans is basically, you guys know my go-to site for textures is textures.com, right? Well, Megascans is basically the high-res version of textures.com, meaning that it's organized in terms of, wow, they've changed their layout. Wow, this makes teaching difficult. Oh, there we go, categories. So they've organized themselves very similar to textures.com. So they'll have categories for buildings, concrete, etc. And I'll show that to you. I oftentimes compare it to cgtextures.com because it makes for a good metaphor as to what Quixel Megascans is and how you would incorporate it in your workflow. Right? So if we come in here, actually, it's good to just show you that you've got these two resources available for you, right? The textures one is my go-to, right? So it's really comprehensive. The person or persons who have set this website up have been operating it for a decade, and it's all free. And then same with Quixel Megascans, right? So with Megascans, you can pull in any kind of assets, and they're categorized for you, right? And it just makes it easy to sort of find and work with, right? So not only do they offer high-res textures and displacement maps and world maps, but they're all connected up to a base shader of your choosing, and they support a variety of different packages like Maya, Houdini. So they can put together a principled shader, they can put together an Unreal PBR shader, they can put together anything. So you don't have to go in and manually connect up your shader like we used to have to do back in the day. They also offer the geometry as well. So my understanding is the Megascans team, they go out and they do what's called photogrammetry. Don't know if a lot of you guys are familiar with what photogrammetry is. Sorry?
It's easier on iPhone with some of its, I think, the depth sensors on it.
Yeah. And it's kind of amusing and sort of frustrating for me because I spent a good couple of weeks just sort of fiddling with a Connect 2 and using that as a scan sensor, and I got it working. I'm like, wow, this is cool. I've got a nice operable 3D scanner, and then the iPhone dropped with it built in. So it's like, oh, okay. Instead of carrying around this clunky laptop and this huge Connect and trying to scan stuff, you get a higher fidelity, better quality scan from just holding your iPhone. So, but that's cool. It's cool. You guys are living in the digital dream era. I swear to God, the tools you guys have available. So, well, yeah, taking into account you have 1,000 pounds handy that you can drop on an iPhone. But there you go. Okay, so there are two utilities involved with sort of interacting with Quixel Megascans. And both of them are free to download, right? So the two that you want to get, and you can see I've got my three icons here together, is Quixel Mixer and Quixel Bridge. Now the way these two work is that Quixel Mixer is a very base sort of, not a shader authoring tool, more just like a shader blending, sort of shader stacking kind of tool. I'll open it up and show you, right? It's very similar to Substance Alchemist, and I don't know if Quixel Mixer came first and Substance is copying them. But it's a very high level, I guess, shader authoring utility. That's the best way to describe it. Right? So you can come into Quixel Mixer, you can bring materials in, you can layer other materials in, and so on and so forth. So I'll show you in just a second. So once you install Quixel Mixer, you get access to this particular UI, right? And so I'm going to grab Stylized Floor for a second. And I did this test earlier this week with some of the computer programming guys, right? So I'm just going to run through this again. Oh, this would be good. It's not the most beautiful kind of texture, but I wanted to double check my displacements and my normals because they didn't seem to be translating over to Unreal. Okay, so it's a very, very simple UI, right? 90% of the time you'll be in the viewport, but you've got access to your local library, which when you install Quixel Mixer, it'll ask you, where do you keep your Megascans? Now, before you set up for Megascans or even Unreal or any project for that matter, it's a good idea to sit down and have a think about where your certain repositories are. Now, I've struggled with this for a good 5 years or so at the beginning of my career. And a place where you can store your brushes, your plugins, your tools, that's centrally located, that's mapped to the same letters, will just save you an enormous amount of headaches, right? Or even if it's just a portable USB drive, as long as that USB drive, once you plug it in, maps to the same drive letter. So I'll create like a repository of assets. Then there'll be 3D assets, there'll be texture folder, there'll be a shader folder, and a Megascans folder, right? So you set all that up, and that's what your local library is. So when you're opening up that mixer, it's going, okay, where are your materials? And it's going and it's grabbing the few that I've already kind of started working with, right? So that's your local. And then this is beautiful. It just connects seamlessly with their online library, but it makes it feel like it's part of the UI. It makes it feel like you're downloading it or you're transferring it from one hard drive to another. Right? So here they've got their comprehensive list as well. So that means we no longer have to go to their website to download anything. It's all available here, and it's kept up to date, right? So we can come in and pull in whatever we want to work with. All right, so I'm going to, there's a little bit of lag because there's, 4 of us in the household all online at the moment. Okay. So I won't go into the nitty gritties of this today because I want to test this and bring the materials over. And I want you guys to sort of muck about with just the base materials. And also, I haven't really tried this yet. Right? So, but it looks straightforward, right? So you've got a layer-based system, right? You can sandwich your textures in a group layer here, and you can add various different material properties, and you can paint them out. You can blend them together. So, for example, if I had this and I had a separate Megascans with soil and mud, I can just mask it out and have that soil and mud in between the cracks and that kind of thing, right? I didn't bother kind of sitting down and figuring it out because it's fairly straightforward, right? You could probably, pick it up inside of an hour. Okay, so we got a few different things here to sort of concern ourselves with, but the one big thing is the export window. So this is where, let's say we're done authoring our texture and we wanted to get it inside of Unreal, right? So let's pop this open here. You can see that it gives you sort of the naming convention for the surface you're working on, your export location, and whether or not you want to create subfolders for it, and your export format. So your export format, this is where you choose, again, the file format's pretty much what it says on the tin. The file format's for your image maps, right? And then your resolution. So you can go 1K, 2K, 4K, 8K, right? And then the maps you want to export out, right? So the albedo map, not a lot of you guys know this, right? The albedo map is the name of the pure color with no light value to any given object. Right? Now, this albedo term came around because you guys might be too young for this, but there was a time, it was actually before I started teaching at the university, where there was, believe it or not, a huge polarizing debate that stretched online, and people got really passionate about it because Maya, 3D Studio Max referred to the color map as a diffuse map. Maya referred to it as a color map. Houdini referred to it as a color map. The Houdini and the Maya guys said, no, diffusion is an effect of light across a surface. It is not the pure color of the texture. And the Max guys were like, screw you, we're calling it diffuse. So this was a huge argument. But eventually, as computer graphics fidelity started to grow, there needed to be a separate way of controlling light diffusion because things were getting that exact. Things were getting that minute in terms of detail. So everyone kind of gathered together and said, okay, we'll call it albedo, right? I don't know, I think it's a medical term. I'm not entirely sure where it's from, but it just means the pure color of the object. So you're dealing with a color map or diffuse map here when you're dealing with albedo. Roughness is the new term given to specularity, right? So because we're moving to what's called a PBR, a photorealistic, physically based rendering pipeline. So PBR pipeline. Now it's a fancy term, but it just means that materials and shaders will be referred to by names that we can understand, like glossiness or roughness, as opposed to specular, right? And it's a little bit more to it than just simply naming, right? So physically based rendering deals with a certain different set of calculations that determine how light behaves across the surface. The whole kind of industry is trying to move that way. So if we take a look at a corollary example, if you look at physics, right? A lot of physics-based engines are using, oh, Jesus, I covered up the subtitles. My God. All right, there we go. Okay, so I'm just blathering on. You didn't miss anything, Ryan. I'm just going on. I'm blathering on about the history behind albedo maps and the term PBR. But yeah, so with physics, we now have what's called finite element mechanics, and that basically means instead of simulating based on stretch, shear, and a number of different factors affecting per polygon calculations, we have concrete. Concrete, it'll behave like concrete breaks. This is wood, and it'll behave like wood. It's almost like some predefined libraries that take care of things for you. So slowly but surely, the CG industry is moving towards using a lexicon and putting together a tool set that's easier for us to kind of build out our environments, and it becomes more artist-centric in that regard. Okay, so when we're ready to export out our maps, right, we will export those to our local library. So how do we get them in game? So this is a bit clunky, and I'm just curious as to why they've set it up this way. But it might just be that the technology is kind of tackled. I mean, Adobe sets itself up with its own Adobe Bridge. But the Bridge utility that I'm launching is where you organize everything that you want into your target package, right? So it's literally what it says. It's a bridge between Quixel Mixer to your application. Eventually, it'll probably become embedded within Quixel Mixer. Oops, window. But we'll see. Stop technology. Yeah. Oh, sorry about blanking out on the subtitles, man. It's because every now and then when I move the window up here, it does this. Bang! Right? So I got to pay attention to that. All right. So inside the Quixel Bridge, right? This is where, and I'll just go to a sample asset, right? This is just where you go to, yeah. Let's grab the trending trash bag. Technology has gone too far. Technology hasn't gone far enough, man. Embrace the new world order. Become tech savvy and become their overlords. Okay. So that took forever to open up. Okay, so in here, when you have your assets sort of organized inside this window, you'll see a list of all your local assets as well, obviously, as the online assets that are available from the Megascan store. So you can come down here and you can set up your export settings, right? So in your export settings, you can export to anything, right? So we've got Unreal Engine, 3D Studio Max, Maya. So to give you an idea, if we export to Maya, all you have to do is open up your Maya project and your shaders will already be connected for you inside the Hypershader. It's that kind of thing. Right? Unity, Blender, Houdini, Cinema 4D, Clarice, Marmoset, everything, right? So we're going to be exporting to Unreal Engine and then what version, right? So now you need to make sure that you've downloaded and installed the Megascans plugin. Right? Hello. Sorry? Yeah. Come on in. Yeah, so the plugin needs to be installed inside your Unreal Engine. And you can download that from the Epic Launcher from the Marketplace. Once you, oh no, actually, I did that yesterday. It wasn't in the Marketplace, which was really strange, right? So you have to actually go to Megascan's website. You can download the plugin from Megascan's website and install it, right? And then you just point Bridge to where that plugin is located here. So this is C programs. It's inside Epic Games, inside my Unreal Engine plugins folder, right? And then you tell Bridge what project you want to put this shader into, right? So I've got a matte painting visualization project, and it'll create a Megascans folder for you, and it's going to drop it in, right? So we're going to kind of walk through that process from the beginning. Actually, I don't really like this texture. Grab a new one. No. Let's go to, actually, I'm going to go back to the online library, and this one looks cool. Oh, no. grab a surface actually. Let's put that down for 3D assets. Okay. Oh. Yeah, something like that. So I've just gone through and just grabbed some. I just want to see how this comes through. The other one was like, so. Okay, so that's downloading. That's a nice little addition to the UI. See that? Okay, so while that's doing its thing, I'm going to shove this over to a second monitor and wait for that to download. I think that has everything I want to take a look at in terms of what comes over. So I'm going to pop open Unreal Engine. There's no video on your Twitch from last week's session. Did I record last week? I might not have recorded last week. Man, I have been a mess since Christmas, since we got back from Christmas. I swear to God. Did I stream it? Yeah, I thought I streamed it. Okay, so I'm using Restream.io, so it should have also sent to my YouTube channel. Yeah, I streamed half of it. Yeah, so if it's no longer on Twitch, it should be on my YouTube channel. I'm using my YouTube channel to permanently archive my streams, right? Just because Twitch deletes them after 8 days or something like that. It should, my YouTube should be, the link to it should be on my Twitch page. You gonna make me look up my YouTube channel and paste? Okay. All right, fine. All right. I will look up my YouTube channel and post the link. All right. Yeah, cool. It's got what I'm streaming right now as well. So it's all good. All right. So it's all going to that YouTube link there, right? Yeah, they're very, very dense. They're very, very dense assets, right? But I'll talk a little bit about what you can do. Actually, I don't want to get into a retopology lecture today. But there are ways of optimizing it and that kind of thing. Do we need bridge or mixer, or is it both? You need both. Mixer is literally where you mix your materials together, and bridge is where you bridge it over to Unreal or Maya or etc. You don't need bridge. You can just export out your mega scans from Mixer, but then if you go inside Unreal, you have to open up the node editor and you got to connect everything up. And, what the bridge does is it connects everything for you. So you just get this nice material node that you can drag and drop. You'll see. You can just drag and drop it on the surface and away you go. Right. Okay, cool. Right, so I'm going to start a new project. So I'm going to go into my film, television, and live events. I don't really need to, but it's got the UI that's set and ready to go to build cinematics or virtual production projects and that kind of thing. I'm going to click on the blank project. No starter content, ray tracing disabled, and I'm going to go into animatic folder, and I'll go test 2. Sequencer. There's a 20 character limitation for project names as well. I'm sure you guys have run into that already, right? So what's Pakistan from Mixer? But then if you go outside on build, you have to open up the fridge. Wow. Man. I'm going to try to speak a bit more slowly just to make sure that this is picking it up correctly. There we go. That's translated better. Okay. There's no vid from our session. You're right. I'm looking at my video list. Something must have happened last week, guys. It doesn't look like that streamed anything at all. Man, okay. Good riddance. Mixer sucks. Oh, is it? Oh, sorry. Okay. Right. So let's walk through. First of all, let's walk through setting up our content browser. And we're going to bring in a few different objects. We'll work through this really slowly. Which actually might be to your benefit that I haven't done this in a while. And I'm going to walk through it slowly because I do know I have a tendency to go really quick when I'm lecturing. So, and I've covered up the stupid window again. God, that's frustrating. My God. Okay. All right. So in the content folder, I'm going to create a, let's create a new folder for, let's go props. All right. And let's see if we can pop that Quixel Mixer prop here into our prop folder. Into our prop folder. Right? So I'm going to bring back the mixer window. Whoops. There we go. So inside of here, let's export this guy out, right? So here I'm going to call this test prop 1. One. Whenever I name something, by the way, I always tack a 0-1 beside it, even though it's unnecessary, and I found that saved me quite a few times. Start to the day, eh? Facebook gaming. Twitch won't let you talk politics, eh? Oh, okay. Well, there you go. I always taka. No, it's unnecessary. Found that. I always tack a 0-1 on the end of my name right here, and that saved me more times than I can count. Okay, so we got that, and we're going to export this to where we have our shaders. So I've got a folder for shaders and underscore test, and I'm going to export all 7 maps at 2K. Let's bring them in as PNGs for now. I need to go get my hard drive. I will be right back, guys. Give me 2 seconds. Quick little pause. Da, da, da. Okay. Ah, Lordy. Oh, what's going on here? Oh, what's going on here? Someone's going mad. I was just gonna say, that looks like a summoning. Things are going a little bit mad in the Discord conversation already. Okay, so I've popped in my portable drive. That's got my Megascans. It automatically maps to the letter B. This is the hard drive I'm using for work I'm doing for Bad Wolf. So everywhere I plug it in, it maps to the letter B. Do you guys know how to change drive letter mapping? Might be something that I can show you guys super quick. No? Okay. Sorry? Yeah, okay, I'll show you super quick because it's something you will constantly be doing, especially once you start your professional career. By the way, another reason why a lot of high-end visual effects studios use Linux, not only is it free and macro kernel, but there's no drive letter mapping, right? Okay, so you come into you hit the Windows key and you type administrative tools, right? And you'll get Windows Administrative Tools, right? When you click on this, right, you'll get this. Now, generally, you want to stay out of this area as much as possible because you can do some serious damage, but I'm going to try and make it straightforward. You want to go to Computer Management. So Administrative Tools, Computer Management. Oops, I'm covered. Right? So when you get in Computer Management, you got storage. You go into storage, you'll get Disk Management. You go to Disk Management, and you'll get a list of all the hard drives connected, right? So up here, I've got all of my hard drives. Down here, it shows me what space I have and how it's partitioned. So here's my Bad Wolf drive. I'm going to right-click on this and change drive letter and paths. Right? So you go in here. I'm not going to do it because it'll muck things up for me. You can go in and change. You can select what drive letter you want. And click OK, and you're good. The thing is, that drive letter mapping is stored with the drive. So whatever you plug it into will automatically go, oh, this drive wants to be B. Yeah, get rid of everything in Regedit. You don't need Regedit. No, don't. I was joking. I always have to announce that I'm joking when I say stuff like that because, you know, there's Darwin Awards, right? You guys know about Darwin Awards, right?
Unfortunately, yes.
How does that help with our later work, if I may ask? Okay, so the thing about everything that's connected inside of Maya or Unreal, or any kind of CG package, it needs to know where to find stuff. So when I open up this concrete, this broken tile thing in Unreal, Unreal will open it and go, okay, now where are the textures, right? And if you store your textures on C:\my documents, and then you take your assets in a USB key and you go home and you plug in your USB key, it's not going to find your textures. You'll get like a gray, untextured thing, right? Because it's looking for the hard drive where you stored your textures. This is called a dependency, and you'll run into that quite a lot, right? So the best way to avoid, stop posting how to delete your Windows registry. I swear to God. No, so with drive letter mapping, if you take a portable USB drive and you say, okay, this is where I'm going to store all my textures, This is where I'm going to store all my referenced assets or any kind of dependencies. And wherever I plug it in, it'll always be like the B drive or the H drive or the X drive or whatever you want it to be. So when I have a Maya scene and all the textures are referencing on the X drive, but I save my Maya scene onto the X drive, I go home, I plug it in, I open up Maya, boom, everything appears exactly the way I saw it on the other computer, whether it's the lab computer at school or whatever, right? Lecture is riveting. Unreal download sub-story. Okay. We can only hope. So, there we go. Really, really important, guys. Drive letter mapping is really, really important. Right? I've already had a round of assignments from first years with dependencies missing all over the place. Right? Now, again, I have to reiterate, when you save a Maya ASCII file, you don't just hand in the Maya ASCII file. You have to hand in the entire project, all the folders that go with it, right? Because it needs your textures, it needs all of that. It needs to find everything. It's all connected, right? It's not all stored in the one file. Okay, so, man, that was a big tangent. I'm just going to export this guy. So it's going over to my shaders test folder on my B drive, right? Okay, I think that's done. Now I'm going to go over to the bridge, right? So inside my bridge, I forget what these, there we go. There's my local, right? So in here, it's detecting everything that's, I've told it my local drive is my B drive. So it's detecting everything that I have on my B drive currently. So you can see it's automatically picked up, I see it's a Roman stone floor. I've been calling it broken cobble, but you can see it's picked it up straight away. So now I'm inside bridge, and I'm going to send it over to my Unreal Engine project. Right? So here, remember I created the props folder. So let's go see if we can track this down. I'm going to click on the, there you go, into here, right? So I'm going to say, look, I've downloaded you. I want to send you over to my Unreal Engine project. Where did I? Where is this thing? There it is. Oh, here's a question for you guys. I ran into this the other day. I could have sworn inside of Unreal, the UI, there's a way to see your project pathing, right? I thought if you float over here, it'll show you B drive, colon, et cetera, but it's showing me relative pathing. So I don't know where this project is. No, you guys haven't run into that before? No, okay, that's all good. I will try to find this manually. All right. Right. Oh, yeah, it was. No. I'm gonna open up the Epic Games launcher.
Wait, to find the project path or Unreal?
The project path. The project path.
Oh, I just normally, if you right click on one of the things in the content browser, you can open it and explore it.
Oh yeah, good. Yeah, good point. Yeah, of course. There we go. That's fine. I'm not putting it on my B drive. Okay. Let's try this one again. We're going to my media drive. That's right, because I'm doing some testing. Let's do content. And inside the props folder. So I'm going to select that folder, right? We got that. We got that in there. Oh, you bastard. It's not letting me scroll down. Okay, I'm going to bring this over here to maximize it so I can get at the export button. All right. where is the export button? So that's the export target. Set that up. Let's go back. And this is just querying the asset. That got selected. Okay, where is it now? Drawing a blank. Okay. Yeah, let's go back here. And let's go into. Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, so we're going here. We're going to go back. There we go. Right. So here are our list of textures that I'm going to transfer over, or download rather, into the Unreal Engine folder. That's a counterintuitive name. That's why I couldn't find it. But I guess that's what it's doing. It's downloading it and putting it into the Unreal folder for me. And you can see it comes with LODs, right? And it lists the triangles per LOD, right? So if you're running into difficulty, just say with the density of the mesh, you could probably just go LOD 5, right? So let's do that. Turn these LODs off, right? LOD meaning level of detail, for those of you who don't remember. Turn these guys off. Turn that off. And you can download the Source Z tool. That's really cool. Okay, so let's go back here. That's all good. Let's go back. We've set that up and download. Let's see if this works the way I need it to. Now you can come into the Explorer window and hit the F5 key. It'll refresh the window. And then you can see if it's not going to stress the window. It's going to refresh the window. But we've got this grayed out, so it's still downloading. Where's the progress bar for this? Tell me you guys are giving me a progress bar.
It was on the, if you scroll up on the material views.
Yep. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I see it. Okay, cool. And the ability to pause. The pause function during downloading is, I think, one of the greatest innovations of the last decade. I swear to God. Because back in my day, whenever I used to transfer high-res assets back and forth, if anything interrupted the transfer, it broke headers and all kinds of stuff. It just basically, you had to do it again. Imagine having to shift an entire city scene asset. It takes 4 hours to transfer over. And then after the 3rd hour, the connection breaks. All of these different dependencies are broken. Yep.
Quick question.
Yes.
Those mixer.
Yep.
What kind of, do we get all the smart materials box, or do we just get the pack 5, which was chosen?
Oh, yeah. You know what? I grab everything. If you got the hard drive room, grab everything. If you don't have the hard drive room, with smart materials, you can always go into the library and grab what you need bit by bit, right? Yeah. And again, I highly encourage you guys to buy a separate USB hard drive if you can afford it. You can get a 5 terabyte one for about 90 quid. You can beg and plead your parents. And then save that USB drive as just assets, right? So you can start building up a texture library, a geometry library, et cetera, right? How did, let's do this next. Yep. Yeah, I don't know how Yup registered as next song. It's really strange. I tried to find a better web captioner, by the way, but apparently this is the only game in town. Oh, we're sort of stuck with it. I was really frustrated with it, and I wanted to find something that had a better engine driving the translation, but no luck. So actually, hopefully the Twitch stream's working fine, because Ryan, you've got the captioner here, but you've also got the Twitch stream, so perhaps today can go back and watch it and help you decipher this strange arcane code that's appearing on the left-hand window here. Okay, so that looks like it's gone over. Let's double check. Let's hit F5. That is not appearing. That's kind of interesting because it worked fine yesterday. Bringing an asset over. Let's see if the content folder itself updated. That could be. It's not in there. Okay, let's try this again. So 8K resolution, and let's go back up here. Export settings. Got all these guys. We're storing in local Megascans. Oh, that's where it's searching. Okay. I got a thought. Let me try one more thing. Let's see. Come up to. That's the search window. Any of you guys got a Megascans downloaded and open? Nope, not yet. It's okay. Yeah, it's cool. I could have sworn there was an export button here somewhere. Where is it? Man. Okay. So then when I downloaded it, what did it do? I reckon it might have put it in my local Megascans. That's not what I wanted it to do. I'm just gonna have a quick look here and see if it's popped it into my Megascans library. Which, yes, it did. Right, so it popped test prop in there. That's not what I want. Okay. So we've set this up to export in here. Find the folder. There is no export window. Just going to try to maximize my window on another monitor, see if I'm missing bits of the UI somewhere. Okay. Oh, crazy. Okay, I found it, guys. Man, that's so, like, not intuitive. All right. So up here, which looks like a download icon, right? Click on here, and you've got this icon here. And I was like, that looks like a send to or share to. Let me try that. Pop that open, and yes, it exports to Unreal Engine. So that's how you export it. What's wrong with the big export button down here? I don't know. Okay, that's cool. Let me double check, make sure that the asset came through. Oh, it still doesn't look like it came through. Let's see. Oh, no, it's coming. There we go. So that's my Unreal window sandwich behind my bridge there. And it looks like it's bringing that in. Yeah. Ah, yes, that's the other thing. Even though I told it specifically to put this prop in that prop folder there, it still went ahead and made its own Megascans folder. 3D asset popped it in there, right? Do you want to import this asset? Yeah. So that's something that it's like, guys, why bother defining where you want me to download this or import this asset to, right? Why specify the default project if you're just going to go ahead and create your own folder. A Megascan is just the company's name, but Megascan is the photogrammetry geometry and the textures associated with it, or it can just be the textures. That's probably why you're confused. It can be one of the two. I'd assume file export. Yeah, I'd assume that as well. But no, they had to go and be different. Oh, no, you're not an idiot. When Megascans first came out, I thought it was an app as well, right? But it's just the name of the company. Okay, so let's inspect this geometry. See what we get. And I got the lowest LOD. I'm getting an error message. No smoothing group information was found in this FBX scene. Please make sure to enable the export smoothing groups option and the FBX exporter plugin before exporting the file. Even for tools that don't support smoothing groups, the FBX exporter will generate appropriate smoothing data. Right? So what are smoothing groups? Well, it's literally grouping a whole set of polygons and applying a smooth operation. So I'll be frank with you guys. I've never used smoothing groups, creased edges, or hard edges really in my modeling process. Just because it takes me out of the flow of sculpting. And you can see that a lot of sculptors share that opinion when you work inside of ZBrush, because there's no, well, there is in the Z model, but there used to be no creasing, hard edges, smoothing groups, any of that stuff. Because it's a very artificial process when you're sculpting, right? But a lot of modelers do it. I've slowly started kind of adapting it because so many people use it. So I thought, okay, well, I don't want to be missing a particular crucial technique or something that can help me out. So I've been using creased edges and smoothing groups. I still don't like it, right? But there we go. 8%. Woo! All right. So let's go in. Oops. Let's adjust my speed down a little bit. Okay, so it's sort of, yeah, it's okay, I guess. The textures feel a bit washed out, but that could just be a color management sort of issue on my part, right? It's not too bad, actually. Oh, I could have sworn the cobblestone texture I had before, the normal maps didn't make it through cleanly, but I will take a look at that later. All right, then let's pop that in our world, and we'll take a look at it. Should be identical, but you never know. Bring that speed down for now. Yeah, the color gamut stored with the texture, or actually the color space we've set for Unreal might need a little bit of adjusting to get the same sort of vibrancy. I'll show you actually. Let's pop back into where we originally got the mixer. Notice we got high contrast value. There's a lot of variation between the light and dark, but then we come in here and it feels a little bit more washed out, right? So again, that has a lot to do with how you're telling the system to manage color and light. That's all a part of a whole huge color management lecture for later. So there we go. That's getting a long, convoluted way to get a Megascan asset inside Unreal. So let's see what we're at. We're at 10 o'clock. Here's what I'm thinking of doing, guys. I might do the level sequencer lecture in the afternoon. So what we'll do, 10 to 11, why don't you guys have a go at setting up your Megascans and just exploring it and doing exactly what I did here, hunt and peck through it and try to kind of wrap your head around it. My mission now is to figure out how to get Bridge to work properly like a bridge and send assets over to the directory of my choice. I'm sure that there is a way to do it. They wouldn't arbitrarily just create folders on the fly inside your project because 99% of productions don't really operate that way. So it's got to be in here somewhere. The ability to define specific folders to export into, right? Oh, I see. I think what it's, okay. So I think what this definition here is not a specific folder to export to. It's saying, look, where is your project located? And I'll create my own folders. I think that's what that's saying here. And I don't like that. Inside of Unreal as well, you've got a Megascan plugin, right? So this allows you to define, again, what materials you want to kind of bring in for another mix, right? So you can come in here and bring in your master material. You can bring in other materials to layer over top, and then you can control the material blending. So when you create a material blend, it creates a node for you inside a shader node inside of Unreal. That's called the material blend node. You can connect it up very much like Maya's layered texture. I know you're probably going to go, right? Because I haven't really talked to you about the layered texture, but I will unfold these techniques for you. I know Sam, you're staring at 8%. Yeah. But that's why I'm not just going to leave you to go to it. I will also do this again with another asset, right? So we'll go in and we'll tweak and tighten a few things in here. I'll do another export as well, and we'll take it from there. 8% downloading Unreal. Holy cow! Okay, so better go and find freaking Quicksilver. You gotta be, Samantha, you gotta be excited. I mean, this stuff is amazing. It's for free, and it's huge. That's like, my God. I mean, look at all the stuff that you get. It's crazy. Yeah, okay. I mean, there's just a phenomenal amount of stuff you have access to, right? And I have not been capitalizing on this enough. So I don't know what I'm making here. I'm just sort of winging it on the fly, but we'll see how far we get. This is MS presets. So it's created a material preset for me. What is that material preset? Oh, yeah, okay. So that's the base material. Okay, cool. So it's come in and it's created that base material and it's connected everything up for me. How very nice. Okay, so we've got two sort of folders to deal with. That's cool. And inside here, we've got our 3D assets. And that's separated out. That's all good as well. Okay, cool. Let's see if we can bring something else in. Okay. 1 hour and 30 minutes for it to download. Well, you should be ready to go for this afternoon session then. Okay, so the one thing I'm going to do inside my main editor is to grab the atmosphere, the atmospheric fog, the light source, the sky sphere, the skylight, and the sphere reflection capture. And I'm going to put them in a folder called Atmos, right? And that kind of cleans it up, right? So puts that where it needs to go. And then I'll create another folder for, yeah, for all my gameplay stuff. I'm using the generic folder named game because it's not really going to be a game. It's going to be a cinematic. So, and then I'm going to create a folder for props. Stick those guys in there. Let's turn this guy. Blank canvas. Let's see what we can put together here. All right. So I'm going to. I don't know, let's find some rocks. So again, I'm inside Quixel Mixer, and I've been dying to check out some of these photogrammetry rocks. I might pull in something a little bit higher res, just because I can afford it on this PC in terms of resources. So grab that one. That's cool. Download that guy. Now, I just want to investigate where this is going, because it's a good idea to keep track of where things end up when you download them. It's sort of one of those things that's become ingrained as habit of mine, but back in the day, it was just one of those frustrating things that constantly have to navigate to a folder and check if it's actually downloaded properly. But it's good. It's a good habit to kind of get into. Okay, so development, content shaders, and shader tests. So I'm wondering if it's going to put it in here, just like it did to my other stuff, or if it's going to be downloading it into my master Megascans folder. Just want to know where it puts it first. I'll show you what I got going on as well. Now, I do have a local drive as well as my USB drive with Megascans. Now, that could be quite confusing, right? Because you don't know if your Megascans have downloaded to your USB drive or if you've got them on your local. But the reason why I got it on my local is purely because of bandwidth and latency, right? So you will find eventually working with large-scale Megascans over the USB bandwidth in terms of data is just frustrating, right? So it's a lot faster to operate off of a hard drive, even faster still if you have an SSD drive, right? So I've just created a global folder, and I've got a libcg folder, and inside here, assets, scans, I created those, and then the Megascans folder, Megascan created that, and everything. Megascan created all of these folders on its own once I defined a location for where I was going to put the Megascans, and you can see we've got custom, downloaded, etc., etc. So I'm wondering if it's going to put it in here. I believe it's 3D asset, and I think that is what it's called. Let's double check. That guy. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the one. So we're at 1017, nature, rock, 0202. Yeah. So it's put it into my repository for me. Right? So that's where it currently lives. Now, this is why I didn't go file export or look for an export, because this will, or rather inside the bridge, this will go directly to my library location, not into my game project. Right? I'm kind of curious what this is. Quick export. Or is it the same? It's not giving me a pop-up window. Okay, that's fine. I reckon it just popped it back in here again. Okay, that's cool. So, there's that. And let's export this guy out. So I'm going to do test props. This is, we'll call it nature rock BCB AEAB. I'm just using the naming convention of the thing that I downloaded, just for now. PGA, and I'm going to put it into my dev content shaders test. It's cool. We'll do a PNG again, 2K maps, all those guys, and let's export those guys out. And that should put it in an area where I can get at it inside of Bridge. I've just done exporting twice. I'm just kind of curious about that. So I've exported it once into my Megascans library, then exported it again to another location where Bridge can find it. I'm going to reset that up to streamline that, because you don't need to export the thing twice. Okay, so here, now that I understand what the Quixel Bridge is looking for, I'm just going to point it to my project directory. Let's see what happens. It may recreate a folder or put it somewhere. Actually, you know what? I'm going to leave it. No, I changed my mind. I'm going to, because I want to see, this is a test, I want to see how this software behaves. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to say, look, pop into this folder and export it into there, right? I'm going to come over here. I've got my that's right. So I'm going to come over here, go into my E drive now, and my global folder, into my prototypes, real time, animatic, test level sequence, and see what happens. Right? So I want to see what happens in this folder structure. Whoa! I want to see what happens when I export this guy out. Right? So I've defined my folder. Everything's looking good. Let's go back. Those are my export settings. Let's go to the counterintuitive button. Where was it again? There. Counterintuitive button there. What is this? That looks like open folder. Is this where I specify exactly where I want to put it? No, it's just showing me where it initially downloaded my Megascan. Okay, that's fine. So here I'm going to export this out to Unreal. It says exporting to Unreal Engine, export successful. Where did you put it? So it's in here. Megascans, 3D assets. No, it hasn't updated in here yet, but let's see if Unreal Engine, yep, in Unreal Engine it's trying to pull it in. So we say yes to all. And we'll import that guy in. All right. Okay, so whilst I'm waiting for that, any questions at all, guys? One of the things that I'd like you guys to start sort of wrapping your head around, and this can be related to a project that you're currently working on, is just create a separate level, separate map, and try to create something using Megascan's assets. Right? I'm just going to check inside here, see if it's come over. And again, it's giving me that smoothing group error. Now, there must be a way of setting it inside a bridge, so I'm going to investigate that. Oops. That's being blocked. Move this guy over like that. Okay, so it hasn't come through. I got the Roman stone floor. Why do I have 3 versions of this? 3D. Oh, that's no good. Okay, so something happened, and I ended up with multiple versions of this. Oh, is it? Ah, man, is it because I didn't click on this? 40. Okay, export settings, Unreal Engine. Yeah, it's going into there. Yeah, make sure I select the right asset this time. Ah, there's an export button here. I wonder if this does it. Let's give it a try. Hey, that's a little bit better. A little counterintuitive, I think, the UI. Okay, so let's bring this guy in. Mesh LOD1 imported. There's our smoothing group error. Did we get it? There we go. So it's the exporter found the Megascans folder inside my Unreal Engine project, and it dumped stuff there, which tells me once Megascans creates that Megascans folder for you and the MS presets leave them, I reckon if I were to move these and try to organize it a little bit neater, let's say I want to create an environment folder or a terrain folder, if I move those, I have a sneaky suspicion that if I export again from Megascans, it'll just create another Megascans folder. Let's try it, actually, because I am just testing this out. So let me grab this asset, pull it in. Whoa, it's huge. Oh, yeah, okay. So it's coming in with the normal maps and everything fine. Well, actually, we could be looking at geometry detail, because I think that's the LOD1. Man, that is super sweet. I'm getting really excited. That is so cool. I'm getting excited because I do need to prop out a particular area for a VFX producer I'm currently working with. So that's going to be exciting. Okay, so let's try this. So here's what I would typically do. I'm very, very pedantic about organizing my assets inside my project. And it's partially having experienced the production pipeline and working with juniors and trying to keep track of everything. So let's say I want to create a folder for environments. And I want to go a couple of levels deep just to see how robust this is. Right? So I'm going to move those guys there. Probably take a little bit of time. Now, when you move folders inside of Unreal, this is something very, very important to note. What Unreal does is it fixes up what are called redirectors, right? Because Unreal also has dependencies. It needs to know where to find stuff, right? So it's like Unreal's working on a change of address for all the assets that you move around, right? So that's something to kind of be wary of. I've noticed a little sticking point with Unreal is that when I move folders, yeah, it's it will leave the old folders in its original spot, which is a bit strange. It's kind of like when you're inside of Maya and you're combining objects. So if you take geometry and you combine it, it takes a bunch of group nodes and stores the transform data from where the original objects were, but it's just a lot of clutter, a lot of junk that it leaves behind, right? So I think Unreal has that same kind of mechanism, and I find that I have to go in and manually delete the folders that are left over. So here's how this works. Once this finishes transferring, I'll go into my environments folder, make sure the Megascans have transferred successfully over, come back out and delete the originals. It's a bit convoluted, but hopefully in future iterations of Unreal Engine, they'll have some sort of cleanup functionality. Yeah, they must have something like that already, actually. Oh, it's working today. It's working today. Sort of. It's left this folder. So there's some kind of logic at work here where one folder is okay, but another is not. So my Megascans, yep, they're all in there. That's cool. They've moved over into my environments, but it's left this, some empty folders, right? So I reckon maybe it's something to do with what's inside the folder that prevents it from deleting those folders. But let's come in here and let's right click and delete these guys. Oh, I should have fixed up redirectors first. I wonder, oh, there we go. So when you right click and you fix up redirectors in folder, what you're trying to tell Unreal is make sure all those address changes become permanent, right? And then we'll right click and delete. Now I noticed something as well. That deletion sometimes doesn't kick in until the next time I restart Unreal. So there's all, you know, these little niggly little things. That's cool. I'm just taking a look at the 2K versus 1K cobblestone wall. That's posted up here. That's pretty cool. That's nice. Yeah, so, you know, when those of you who've tried working with Megascans and get these large, unwieldy assets that make it really impossible to work, well, you get those LOD tips, right? So pick the level of detail that works good for you. And I always start with the lowest level of detail, just because it's easy to work with, right? So that's cool. All right. So now what I want to do is I want to grab another rock piece, and let's see if we can export this out. There's got to be a way of going directly from Mixer. I swear to God. It just seems strangely unnecessary to export this to Bridge and then export it again to Unreal Engine. Surely there's a way of going direct in. Okay, let me just try this huge canyon sandstone cliff thing. Okay, so now I'm going to download into my main repository, it looks like. And it's downloading here. So we'll just wait for that to come through. I want to see if I can skip this bit. I wonder if I can pull it directly, because this will end up in my local library here. And there must be functionality. There must be some functionality inside the local library that will allow me to directly export out. One would think. Yeah, okay, so that's an important comment here. There's a little more detail, but you wouldn't really notice unless you went close up. Yes, so this is primarily what LODs, the function of an LOD is to show you the necessary detail at distance from camera. Now, to kind of reiterate, oftentimes I get asked, you know, what is the poly count budget? What are the texture sizes, right? And those questions are irrelevant unless you know how far your camera is away, right? So you can't make arbitrary judgments on poly counts or texture sizes until you determine what your game camera is, or your cinematic camera is, or how close you're going to get, or how far away you're going to get from that object. Now, I know Unreal has a built-in automated LOD system nowadays as well, right? But it's still something to keep in the back of your mind. Oh, the comment about 4K looking the same as 1280p. There's other things that are at play with 4K technology other than just resolution. There's exposure, latitude, and color gamut as well. So 4K technology actually shows you more color and more light and dark value, right? So you're not just paying for an upgrade in resolution. And even the color space that you get, like, let's say you get Adobe sRGB, which has got a lot more colors than sRGB. Well, certain displays are rated only to show certain percentages of that. It's confusing. But some displays can show 94% Adobe sRGB. Others can show like 78% Adobe sRGB. Right? So 4K technology shows you that wider color gamut. It pops you up to the 90% bracket. Right? So yeah. For me, resolution is not that important because you sort of adjust to resolution. I don't know if you guys have found that. Have you guys made that transition from standard definition to high definition? So like 420p going up to 1080p? If some of you guys were involved in that transition, you'll remember that the very first time you make that jump, you go, wow, everything's so sharp. Everything's so crystal clear. It almost hurts your eyes. You look back at a 420p TV, you're like, everything looks blurry, right? But then you get used to it. So you're used to HD. It doesn't look sharp anymore. It just looks normal. Then the same thing happens. You look at a 4K TV. You go, wow, that's really sharp, right? And then you move to 4K and you get used to it. So resolution is not that big a deal to me, but the color is, because that's the one thing that makes a huge impact, and it's unmistakable. The brightness, the saturation, the range of color. It's just a lot richer. Yeah, 4K is too expensive, but it is something for you guys to consider as a must-have because of the limitations of working with HD monitors if you're doing visual effects or 3D animation or game development or anytime you're involved with rendering. Yeah, 4K for monitors are very expensive. Yeah, the 4K TVs are cheaper these days, and they've got reasonable tech inside, right? So, yeah, I'm a big fan of the Sony Bravias. The color reproduction is excellent, and it's worth kind of getting into. Yeah, that's okay. So I don't want to get into an explanation about it, but it has to do with what's called an anamorphic squeeze. So you got a 1440 by 1080, and then you got a 1920 by 1080, right? So it all kind of has to do with, well, actually, I'm trying to think about it in terms of TV technology, but in terms of capture sensor technology, it was this whole idea of making a cheaper sensor, right? So manufacturing cost-wise, you get a cheaper, smaller sensor, and then what ends up happening is the lens used on the camera is oval, right? Not spherical, but oval. So as the image comes through, it gets compressed onto a smaller sensor size. And then when you rebroadcast it, it's broadcast out through another oval-shaped lens, what's called an anamorphic lens. And that anamorphic lens takes that squished image and then stretches it back out for display on a screen. And it all has to do with bringing prices down cheaper. Always go for 1920 by 1080 if you can, right? That's a full frame technology. By the way, you guys know when you see a Steven Spielberg or a J.J. Abrams movie, you get streaky lights, right? You guys have seen Star Trek, which overdid all the streaky lights, right? Yes. So the streaky lights, that's a visual signature of things that were shot with an anamorphic lens, right? So basically, feature film productions do it because they want to broadcast on a screen ratio of 2.40 to 1, like widescreen, right? But film emulsion is a square. And so what ends up happening is the anamorphic lens squishes what it's recording onto the square film emulsion or square sensor, and then stretches it back out again when it's rebroadcast. And when it stretches it back out again, it's interesting. It affects absolutely nothing in terms of image quality except lights. It stretches those lights out. Nuts. Hey guys, I dropped out for a second there. Yeah, I dropped out. Lost connection. And looks like my stream is still going. I hope it's still going. And I lost my web captioner. I mean, what? Oh, give me a break. Why? Okay. Oh, you. Looks like I've lost the captions. I don't know how to get that back. Hmm. Okay. Let's try using different web browser. Okay, let's see if this works a bit better. Oh, come on, man. Looks like this browser doesn't support that. Come on. Oh, good God. Okay. Oh man. Okay. So we're 15 minutes towards the end of class. Perhaps it's a good time to kind of call it there. I'm going to try and figure out what the web captioner is doing. Actually, let me finish off this anyway. I just wanted to have kind of an experiment with this at the moment. Yeah. So I'm assuming I've got nibs here that I can select, and let's. Oh yeah, okay. So it is a paintable utility, very basic though. So there's no projection painting. That's kind of cool. So if I come in here, it looks like I've got opacity control as well. So that's all right. Now, am I painting on my albedo? Let's see. Invert this guy. Opacity. So is this the opacity for the texture set? Or no, this must be for the paint buffer. So we got that, and let's see, can we add another surface layer? If I grab that surface, it's going to load it. Ah, sweet, that's cool. Now, let's see if we can. Just kind of exploring this a little bit. Let's add material ID, add masks, paint a mask on this layer. That's what I'm after, right? So I'm going to grab these two guys, actually. This one, and I'm going to add a group. So I'm going to put this in that group. This one. Oh, well, it's not going to let me alter the base layer, but let's see what we get when we paint a mask out. Oh, that's too cool. I am going to have fun with this. That is sweet. Oh, all right. Yeah, because I restarted. Sorry, guys. Okay, so I'll kind of walk you through what I've got going on here, right? Okay, so I wanted to experiment with exactly what you can do in terms of material blending. You know, it's pretty rudimentary, right? You don't get a lot of brushes, you know, size, angle, spacing, or whatever. So very simple options to play with the brushes. But what I did was I came in, that was my paint layer, where I just created a paint layer. Actually, yeah, I'll just do this again. Let's kill that group. Kill that, right? So I've got my Megascans asset. Let's say I wanted to have, you know, I don't know, one of my characters come around and do graffiti on this, right? So I'm just going to add a paint layer, right? So it gives me that layer, and I can choose, where can I choose my color? Somewhere down here, right? Let's say red, right? And we've got the opacity. Let's see if the size is Photoshop hotkeys. No, it's not. So I need to track down and see if they've got hotkeys on here, right? And there we go. So now we can paint our graffiti on that layer. I wanted to sort of see what we're painting. So it looks like we're painting into, right? And so I add that mask layer. You can see that it's highlighted it. That means when I paint, I'm painting a mask. So I'm masking out that mud, right? So that's cool, right? So I'll be able to come in here and bring in a whole bunch of different materials and sort of mix and match them, right? I can pop back over to actually, let's try and create a mask stack, right? So I can create a multitude of different masks, it looks like, and then really sort of control how each mask operates, Okay, well, how do I paint on this guy? So, unless it's a matter of, okay, so the mask stack operates different to what I was expecting. I was expecting something very Mari-like. So I'm going to need to look that up. But that's really cool, right? So I can come in here and add, I'll do the example I did before I cut out, just because it's a little bit more dramatic. So we put that on there, right? And so let's say we want to mix this material down, turn on paint mask. There we go, right? And let's see, there should be an inversion on the tool as well to allow me to invert the effect. It's likely the brush color, actually. So if I go to the brush color, switch from black to white, right? Oops. If I switch the brush color from black to white, this will let me bring the mask back. So mask painting is this way of non-destructively editing stuff that I use quite a lot in Photoshop when I'm doing concepts and matte paintings and things. And so it's fantastic that it's so intuitive to kind of layer into Quixel Mixer and use straight away. Inside of Mari and inside of Substance Painter, it takes a little bit of setup to get mask painting working, but this is nice. And again, it's part and parcel because it's a very simple UI, really toned down, very, very few tools. It's not really about authoring complex surfaces or materials. It's just about having fun with the existing assets they have there already, right? Okay, so I want to leave this in place, and I want to try to export this guy directly. No, you know what? I think we have to use. Yeah, it looks like we're going to have to use the Quixel Bridge. Because if I export directly into my Unreal Engine project, it's just going to bring over the Megascan the way it is, not connected, right? So I'm going to call this Mix 1. And the export location. Actually, instead of putting, the export location there. Just trying to see what's the asset manager? Asset manager. Okay. So the asset manager looks like it shows me everything connected to the asset that I'm currently working on. That's cool. And yeah, it looks like I have to. Okay. No problem. So I'm going to export these guys. And then pop back over to Bridge. Go to my local here. This guy. Export it out, right? Oh, right. It didn't register my click. I was wondering about that. Okay. So, it's going to come over. Where is it? Let's try open folder after export. Let's do that. Test.mix, live action folder. Yeah, that's cool. And so in the bridge, local surfaces. Okay, so exporting this guy out. That's cool. And I shouldn't have to refresh this, but let's see. here. Downloaded that base asset. Shaders. I'm gonna click on this just to see what I'm dealing with here. No, that's just the base. Pop back over to the export window. Try quick exporting this. It's probably going to go to the same place, but I just want to see if it makes a difference. No, it's in the same test prop folder. Why are you not picking it up? It's really strange because it picked up the other assets I exported out of there. No problem. Came over fine. That asset, however, did not. Let's bring it over using an import. One. Hey guys. Yeah, it keeps cutting out. It's a good time to call it anyway because it's 11 o'clock. And then I will reconnect with you guys at 12. Okay, cool. So I will connect with you guys later. And I'm just double checking. Yeah, I did take attendance, so that's cool. Okay, guys, have a good lunch. I will see you guys after lunch. Sweet. Yeah, you guys are on break till 12 to 2. It's another session of indie games. Yeah, there you go. Okay, I'll talk to you guys later.